Okay, hello everyone. Can everyone hear me? You can take your mic off of mute just so that we can touch in and say hi. And then, hi, Dr. Willie. Can you hear me? Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay, I asked everybody to, I guess I have to ask them to unmute. I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear me. Okay. All right, it looks like we have about 8 participants. That's awesome. Okay, and I am recording this so that if you have any friends or family that wanted to come on, then we are recording at this time. I know one of the webinars that I did early in the spring, I couldn't find the the webinar after, but I see the little light on there that we are recording. So welcome to Energetic Wellness. I haven't done very many health awareness classes, which I usually do twice a month, and I have done since I started my practice. On Fridays, I would do health awareness classes and talk about different health topics, usually my 7 laws of wellness and anything that I felt in particular was important at the time. And so I hadn't done one of these in a while, and just really in the last couple of weeks felt the need to touch base with everyone and just see how everyone was doing. And in a time in our country when our health is at the top of everyone's mind because of what is going on. And I just wanted to come on and say that I'm thinking of all of you all of the time and praying for you and your families, and most of all praying that you are able through this time to really reset and renew and really do a lot of research and soul searching yourself. And in a time when there's so much fear and confusion out there about our bodies and what is safe, and you know, it's been a little mind-blowing to me, and that, you know, we're being told that you know, we have to be afraid of each other, afraid of our environment. Our children are we are going to be homeschooling my 2 grandbabies this year because, you know, we don't want them to go to school and not be able to hug their teacher or their classmates. And so, you know, with there being so much confusion and fear out there, I wanted to just say that my message as a naturopathic doctor and to my energetic wellness family, that my message hasn't changed because the human body hasn't changed. you know, and what I've been teaching from the very beginning of my practice 15 years ago, that the body was designed to heal itself. You know, there has been a lot of things that have happened in changing how we support the body. And therefore, today I wanted to talk about the 2 reasons why we have symptoms. And I have invited Dr. Lee Woolley to join me, and my dear friend, Dr. Andy Lockmears, she will be joining us at 12:30. Because those 2 are my go-tos. They're my experts. They're my dearest friends, as well as colleagues, and we support each other. And I just wanted you to not only hear from me, but to hear from them as well. And my intention today is that I would help you to be less fearful of what is going on with the virus, and that one of my favorite verses, and the verse that I picked out for my practice when I first started, was perfect love casts out fear. Because when we understand the love of God, when we understand the body's natural design to help us throughout this journey, then we don't have to be fearful. And, you know, I saw a little ultrasound yesterday and saw that little baby in there that is just about the size of a blueberry. And I said to this young couple, I said, you know, I think the world has forgotten. Just how powerful and wonderful life is. Sorry, I didn't mean to cry, but you know, I think we forget the miraculous design of the human body, and that it's such a gift. We have such a gift to be here and to be experiencing life with one another. And when this whole thing started and people then were saying about social distancing, I said, you know, that is like asking, or like trying to pull away cats, because we need each other. We need to fellowship. We need to be outside and enjoy nature, and because we're connected to nature and nature's God. And the body is so miraculous. When I saw that little baby in there, and that it's already life, there's already a heartbeat, and that baby is already trying to acclimate to the parents and understand its surroundings. And so the two reasons why we have symptoms is we are what we eat and how we live. It's really important that that mom, that new mom that's carrying that baby, is putting good things into the body and living according to the design to help that baby, that infant, to grow, that fetus to grow. And so in an initial appointment, and all of you know, I think most of you that are on this webinar know that my initial appointment, these are the things that I talk about, I go over with you, the true reasons why we have symptoms. We are what we eat and how we live. Because the beautiful design of the human body, right? We need, just like a plant needs water and needs the right type of food, so does our bodies. And the second reason why we have symptoms is the body was designed to help us through heightened levels of stress or traumatic experiences. We have these survival programs. In the nervous system, the everyday two-phase process is our daytime phase and our nighttime phase. When we wake up in the morning, we should have good energy, be productive, creative, be able to handle everyday stress. And by the things that we put in our body helps our body to be able to stay on that good rhythm of daytime, nighttime phase. And this is why I created, or I put together, the 7 laws of wellness. They're not my ideas per se. They're things that I put together after going through my own healing phase years ago. And so the 7 laws of wellness really help us get back on a good rhythm of that everyday two-phase process that is so needed, because so many things have happened in the United States since the early 1900s, of when we started taking nutrients out of our food, and we weren't getting the benefits of the vitamins and minerals and enzymes and things that come from pure whole foods. When we started taking those nutrients out, and then unfortunately over the past several decades, we have over 87,000 chemicals in our food and our environment today. And that is very unfortunate. But even with that, we can still choose. You have the opportunity to choose the food that you eat, and how you live. And so the 7 laws of wellness were designed to help us get back on that good circadian rhythm. The second reason why we have symptoms, as I stated, was the nervous system was designed to respond to heightened levels of stress. And we have understood that as the fight or flight, right? If we're in a situation where we need to fight off a predator or run away from danger, right? The body gives us the energy to be able to do that. Well, we haven't understood, and allopathic medicine allopathic medicine is a name for our modern medicine that we have today, which is really more dominant, or has more of a stronghold than natural medicine and natural ways of living. But they have been on this theory for a very long time, the germ theory, and that our body malfunctions. And the information that we have been programmed to believe for a very long time has told us that the body malfunctions. Or as in an autoimmune disease, the body attacks itself. But the body biologically was designed to respond, to help you through situations. And I'm gonna see if I can share my screen. I have a new computer, and so I don't know if this is going to work. This is the first time I'm using it. Okay, let's see. Okay, can you see that? Yeah. Okay, thanks, Lee. All right, so the 2 reasons why we have symptoms: you are what you eat and how you live. Your body responds to heightened levels of stress and responds to help you survive the situation. So the body is biologically designed to support our responses to live through acute stressful situations, prolonged stressful situations, traumatic experiences. Separation, abandonment, isolation is what we're all feeling right now. We are biologically connected to our physical being in order for you to survive. So this everyday 2-phase process I explained, right, according to German New Medicine, many of you know that the foundation of my practice is the 7 laws of wellness, but also understanding the body's biological design to respond in an everyday processes, as well as heightened levels of stress. So according to German New Medicine, the body runs in 2 phases, and every condition we experience runs in 2 phases. So during the day, our active phase is our daytime phase. We really should be able to wake up in the morning, have good energy, be productive, creative, and handle everyday stress. At night, the body goes into, is our healing phase. So thousands of processes are happening so that you can be ensured to have another day and wake up with energy. So lots of things happening at night to repair and renew. Okay. I'm going to I'm going to ask Dr. Woolley to come on. And Lee, I feel as though, and for any of you that don't know Dr. Woolley, Lee, I'm going to stop sharing and put you, there you are.
Hear me? Is my volume okay?
Yes, your volume is good.
Volume is good. Yay.
So, Dr. Woolley is the inventor of the SpectraVision technology that I use in my practice. I've known him for about, I don't know, since 2008, 2009. It's also when I met Dr. Andy Lockmears. And but I've learned so much from you, Lee, as far as the nervous system and this two-phase process. And I wanted to ask you, because my community has heard me talk about German New Medicine. I've given many talks on it. I talk about it every time they come in for an appointment. I want them to hear from another expert. Dr. Woolley also is the formulator of the new human products that are in my store, and they're the ones that I use most of the time, probably 80% of the time. I do use some other products, but Lee, can you I wanted to ask you in just a couple sentences, can you explain to them this heightened level of stress? When we go through a heightened level of stress, what happens in the nervous system to support us through that? Maybe talk a little bit about microbes and why they are necessary, and about this virus. What causes a virus? That was kind of a lot, wasn't it?
I can do that in 2 sentences. Is that what you said?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. So I'll do my best to keep it short and sweet. First of all, when the body is responding, depending on what's part of the brain is working with it, there's also 2 types of reactions under stress. And this is a little bit odd, but if it's happening from the cortex, then that is a fear process, which is designed to biologically open up or change body function to turn into an acute stage. So if you go into deep fear, then the lungs go into death fright, so to speak, and it starts to open up its own pathways. And so it becomes catabolic for a period of time. Now it's designed that it can't be prolonged. And that's what you were saying, your key factor is prolonged stress. So prolonged stress, we know that stress is a huge factor in how sick we get and whether we recover or how we do recover. So let's just say you were driving in the car and somebody swings out in front of you and you slam on the brakes, and it was scary enough that you stopped breathing for a minute. You had this big fear reaction, and then they went on and so did you. It would not be uncommon for the next day for you to have a little cough while the body's trying to heal that. So as a short reaction. It didn't last very long, but it was enough to, when it was over, go into the second phase of healing, which is the symptoms. So the reaction is the first one, and that's chosen by what part of our brain works on that. And then the other one is what happened after it's over. So no healing happens till after it's over. Mm-hmm. And when it's over, that's when a different set of symptoms come in. So while we're under stress, we have one kind of symptom. Then after it ends, then we have another kind. So what's happening with a viral component, it comes under those issues of extreme fear. So if somebody's extremely fearful, it's going to affect the bronchia. And when that happens, while they're under fear, you start worrying and worrying and worrying. So now there's something known as the mask effect. Somebody wears a mask and they go out and they're all afraid they're going to catch something. When they don't have to wear the mask anymore, then they're going to get lung infections. Okay, so if you're wearing a mask, don't be afraid. If you're putting it on and state requires you, put it on. But don't be afraid while you're in it. Don't be afraid while you're out there. Don't be afraid, because that fear, that primal fear, has primal components in the nervous system. So when those primal components get activated, then when they're over, so you have two phases: active symptoms, and then completed, well, we call it a completed program. After the program ends, then the body has to, it's like you take a dog out to the lake and you throw the ball into the lake. The dog swims out there, gets the ball, and comes back and drops at your feet. It has to shake off the water. So that's like the body. If we've been under stress, then we have to shake it off, because if the body, the biology of the dog is, if I don't get that water out, I can go into hypothermia. So it's built in. It can stop it if it wanted to. That shake is built into the nervous system, and it's for survival. Well, that's what happens if you go into death right for the lung based on survival. Then you'll get something that would be called a virus. And the virus comes in to repair the tissue. It's not attacking us. It's not making us worse. It's a process of rebuilding the proteins. So yeah, a viral component is a real small function. It's a cell function in the DNA that's designed to repair. But when it's repairing, you get symptoms. You get your cough, you get the flu-like symptoms, you get the, you're going to get mucus, you might get achy.
Yeah. I love that, Lee. That was awesome. So you're saying that when we are fearful of something, whether it's that little accident you were talking about, or fearing that we're going to catch something, after we get home and we feel safe again and we relax, right? That little bit of heightened fear, right? There was work that was needed to happen in the lungs to support that fear.
Right, exactly.
Right? So we have that perception, right? It kind of, that signal is sent to the brain, she or he is fearful. They're going to need help in the lung bronchia, right? The bronchial mucosa, to be able to support that fearful state that they're in.
Yeah, they need more oxygen right away.
They need more oxygen right away, right? So then when it's over, there's that repair work. So it's just like that everyday two-phase process of our daytime, nighttime. During the day, we're active. At night, we're healing. When we go into a certain heightened level of stress, it also has two phases. There's that active phase where you need help, right? The body got the brain got the signal, I'm fearful. I'm really fearful.
Yeah.
Right? And that fear is connected to the lungs, to the bronchia, because what do we do when we're frightened? We can't breathe. We have to get more oxygen into the lungs right away.
The brain doesn't work without oxygen, so it can't be deprived of oxygen. Only a few minutes, if that. So
yes.
The body's supporting all other body systems during that state of fright. So it's like,
exactly. And then when we get out of that fear, then there's repair work that needs to go on in order for the body to heal. It's just like that everyday two-phase process, right? We do a lot of activity during the day, right? we got to support with the foods we eat and the water we drink so that we have enough energy to do what we want to do during the day.
Yeah.
But still, we've done a lot. And so it's natural for us to have some symptoms of tiredness or fatigue, depending on how much work we did, right?
Right.
And that's the repair process. And so it's not any different than, right? We worked a certain organ a little bit more, right? During that active phase of our fear,
Yeah.
right? And now there's going to be more repair work on that, on the lungs to repair it, to renew it. And that's the virus. But the
Right.
virus is of a curative nature. It's helping the body to
Yeah.
repair.
Yeah. And that's also the second part where some organs, like for example, you go through a stressful experience, maybe it affected the lungs, but also you didn't like what happened, so you got really upset. Well, that affects the stomach. So then you get a stomach ache. That after it's over, you get the stomach ache, and maybe it was such a bad situation that you end up having diarrhea because it affected the large intestine. So it's not always just one thing.
Mhm, mhm. And I just, um, Lee, that this is what our work is. Um, this is what it's all about, in trying to teach the practitioners that are using your technology, as well as, with the products, are just so supportive of the natural design of the body to heal itself, their support. So for us as human beings, you know, spiritually living in this body, right? What's that saying that I remember that was on your wall in your first clinic, in your first office in Health and Harmony, when I came to my first training there? We're human beings living a spiritual experience. What was that saying?
We are spiritual beings having a physical experience.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
And our responsibility really to ourselves is to just have an understanding of this human body and take care of it on an everyday basis, because really the design is so beautiful. Just like seeing that little tiny baby that's a blueberry size right now at 7 weeks. It's just a little blueberry, but it's got everything that it needs
Yes,
to
everything.
become a human being. That is miraculous.
Right.
And we have to remember that the body, those survival programs from that little, they're in place already.
They're in place already. And the thing too, I think, Michelle, you need to realize that we need to get across to everyone who's listening is the fact that
Lee,
all,
your volume was a little,
can you hear me now?
yeah, can everybody hear? It's not real loud, and maybe it's my computer. Okay, try it again. I hope
Can
I
you hear me
didn't.
now?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay. So one of the things for sure we have to recognize that there's a huge impetus to make us not believe in our DNA. And there's a big focus in the Western model to start to move into DNA medicine because, first of all, it's highly profitable and it's based on fear. You realize that our DNA map for the human body is 97% exactly the same as the orangutan? If that's the case, and orangutans do not have all the kinds of illnesses and diseases that humans do, and it's not the DNA. It has to be something else. Now orangutans under stress, they don't eat, they don't thrive. So we have to go to this component of stress. We have to start looking at what's the biology, what's the long-term stress, what's the short-term, and the acute stress. So if we're not supporting the nervous system, we can't repair. And that's where chronic illness comes in.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So, I see Dr. Andy Locke-Mears has joined us. Andy, we have welcome. Thank you so much for being here and joining me. I could cry because these are my two favorite people. And then of course I have my favorite, my energetic wellness community online with us. And I am recording this. There were several that said they couldn't make it. So it is recording. So Andy, we've just been going over, the two phases, our everyday two-phase process and the importance of supporting the body naturally through the foods we eat and our lifestyle. And then Lee and I, for the past 15 minutes, have been talking about that heightened levels of stress and our survival programs. I'm going to unmute you, Andy.
Yes, there we go.
There you go. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi,
Thank you.
Andy.
Hey, Lee. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody.
Yes, welcome to the energetic wellness community. Dr. Woolley and Dr. Andy Locke-Mears are my teachers. I feel they teach me. I go to them all the time for training and
Go to each other.
Yeah. I know, but so this morning, as I was getting ready for work and getting ready to come to the office, I thought I hadn't listened to Andy's last podcast that she recorded. And what was it? It was the name, it was What's the Real Issue? I love that, Andy. Yeah. And
what's really going on now?
What is really going on?
We're not hearing the real story.
So. We're not hearing the real story. So I listened to that this morning. First, I listened to my meditation and meditated a little bit, our favorite, the three of us meditation. Yep. And then I thought, what could really inspire me today? And I listened to your podcast, and your voice was just so warm and comforting, and your information that you provided was just amazing. I want to I want to give them your website, andylockemears.com. You can listen to that podcast. It's beautiful. You could also watch it on YouTube. But Andy, I just wanted you in a little synopsis. Now Lee and I have already talked about, and my community really understands or has an understanding of the biological design of the body and these survival programs to help us in our time of need. And Lee just gave up several great scenarios or examples of that heightened stress and why the body, really we went over what really the virus, what that is caused from biologically. Yeah.
Yeah, so important. No, I'm sorry I missed that.
Yes. But I just, in just a few, maybe 5 minutes, just share your podcast. What's the real issue? I know I said the same thing to Lee. I'm like, Lee, in a couple sentences.
Yeah. What's the real issue?
Well, you know what? I have the transcript right here, Andy. I loved that you started out with. Let's do this. Let's say, because I started off by saying, my intention today was perfect love casts out fear. When we understand the love of God, when we understand the love of our creation, the miraculous design of the body to heal and help us through our journey here called life.
Right.
You know, the body
Exactly.
wasn't designed to attack us or to all of a sudden malfunction or, you know, and so I want them to have a better understanding, because I know even the three of us, you know, are frustrated with what's going on, but because of our knowledge, it's been a little bit easier. And I want to really help them to stay out of fear and to understand even better what's going on, and really just confirm what we've been teaching. And
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. God, where do you start? Let's see. I'm going to say.
So, okay, go ahead. Say that, but then we could go through, because I have your transcript of your podcast. One of the things you talked about, what are the tests looking for from a German new medicine perspective?
Right. So yeah, I did this episode. I've done a number of COVID episodes because I get a lot of emails. Hey, what's this about? What does this mean? How do I do this? How do I stay out of fear? You know, how do I cope with my daily life? And we need these tools right now. And we definitely need the support of our community. And we definitely need that spiritual connection inside to our creator. So important right now. So I created this one it's been about 5 weeks since I put out a podcast, and it's like everything changes so fast right now that staying up with everything is daunting, to say the least. So I can do the amount of research I have to do. It's a huge amount of research I do for every podcast, because I want to make sure I'm giving accurate information.
Yes. And I loved that you had all of your references, you know, for where you got your information. And I think because that's the confusing part right now for people is there's so much information out there, and what do I believe?
Exactly. So it's really about looking at most allopathic and holistic people are still in the fear model. And so it's really easy to discern this. You know, if people are really speaking the truth of what's going on with this biologically, they're not in fear. We're not in fear. There's no reason to be in fear. And especially in one part of this podcast, I talk about, well, what does this really mean? Is this a pandemic? It isn't. This is not a pandemic. That is media hype. And the media has done a really good job at doing the bidding of the allopathic community that this is fear-based, you know, that this is all about, it's fear. It's causing all of this. Your chances of dying in the United States of COVID is 0.0004%. That's like one 1,000th, you know, of it's infinitesimal. Infinitesimal. And in Australia, it's 0.000005%. It's so far and few between. So when you put it in perspective, there is no pandemic. The statistics around the world do not support that. That is media hype. Know that most of what you see on your media is pretend information. It is not accurate. Right there. That's the first thing. Don't look at the media. I don't.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
It's all pretend. It's all pretend.
Yeah, for sure. But I love those statistics, because that does put that in perspective. You know, I mean, just from a logical standpoint, you know, you know, they're saying that there's all of these cases, you know, but I was like, you know, that's only because they're doing so much testing. And, you know, if they would have done testing last year.
Right.
For how many flu cases there were in the year, I don't think the numbers would be any different, because people go through, they go through healing phases all the time.
And we know it's cyclical, and they know that. They know it's always going to be worse December, January, February. That's to be expected. It's always going to be less in June, July, August. And then it starts to ramp up as we get more stresses. Kids are back to school, and now it's getting colder. So more stresses, more conflicts because of those things. And then heightened right up there for Christmas, all the family stress and all the conflicts that occur during the holidays. And then we have healing phases, December, January, February. So we know that. That's not, we know that. It's not a mystery at all. Yeah. So I put on my website, every day we update my website on the front page, and we put how many people have recovered, because that is not being broadcast. And right now we have almost 11 million people who have recovered from their healing phase.
Exactly.
And that is not being broadcast. If that was being broadcast, people would be out of fear, and we'd see our numbers decrease right away.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah. 11 million. Right. We're not hearing that. We're not hearing that. In fact, what we're hearing is that, there's no cure.
Right.
Well, that's what we're hearing now.
There's no immunity after you've had it. They're expecting all these antibodies that supposedly give you immunity, and they're not finding that. So
yeah. So talk to us about that. What is that, Andy? I loved your explanation on your podcast when I listened to that this morning about, what these antibodies, and they're doing these tests because they're saying, well, if you have the antibodies, then that's what. So talk to us about that.
So that's just really fascinating. So allopathic medicine knows that antibodies help us to heal. Right? So if you have an accident, I think in my podcast, I said, let's say you're in a motorcycle accident, you've got road rash over half of your body. Your antibodies will go up because they are helping you to heal. So we know that. There's no mystery there. We expect to see antibodies in a healing phase. So after we have, what they're finding now is that after people have had their healing phase, the antibodies now decrease, which they don't want that. They want to see it stay high because they think it's going to fight a virus, which it never does. They're active in the healing phase. What we know from a GNM perspective from German New Medicine is that antibodies are always, they're the ones that are sounding the alarm if we have a hanging healing. So if you have a, quote, food allergy or a skin allergy, and you go get an allergy test, they're looking for antibodies. Of course, because they'll always be present in a hanging healing. The antibodies, which are little pieces of protein, are sounding the alarm. Hey, danger, you've had a danger with this substance, with this gluten. Let's start this program again to keep you safe. And that's what the antibodies are doing. They're trying to keep us safe. That's it. It's not a big mystery. It's
love that.
They think it is.
One of what I'm trying to think of, testing is another source of fear. You talked about that.
So testing, So they're looking at two kinds of testing, and there's several kinds of tests out there. The antibody testing is looking for, if you've got antibodies, then you're going to be immune to it, immune against it because it will kill viruses, even though they add the caveat, but it might not. Okay, so why say that to begin with if it's really not necessarily going to work? That makes no sense. They're also looking at viral testing. So they're looking under a microscope at a swab to see, does this contain the exact microbe that we think should be there, what we have labeled now as a virus, which is really a particle of RNA and protein. That's all it is. We have millions of those in our body. And where you live, you have the indigenous ones of the place where you live. So if you go to a different country, yes, you're going to have you'll be exposed to different microbes, different soils, everything, different things in the air. That's normal. We would expect that. So they're looking at these two ways of testing. Neither of them are accurate. And as you can see, with the number of people who are testing positive who have no symptoms, this is bogus, people. There is no rhyme or reason. There's no scientific accuracy to anything they're doing with testing.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that leads us into the vaccine.
Favorites. Yes.
Yeah. So, go ahead. Yeah.
And this was really kind of the point of my podcast, because people are upset about the testing. I get it. People are upset about being in their homes, having to be isolated. I get it. It's such a disruption. This whole mass media of crap that's happening right now is such a disruption for our life. And then we come to the vaccines. Now we've got companies that are racing to get a vaccine on the market. And so we have to stand back a couple of steps and say, allopathic medicine is big business. It is based on business. Vaccines are good for business. It's nothing to get upset about. I truly don't think we will get to the point where it's mandatory in our country. I don't see that happening because there's too many forces against that. So know that they're going to do their thing, and it really doesn't have to impact us. What does impact us is our belief system about that. I don't want a vaccine. Well, the more that you fight against vaccines, the chances are higher that you'll have a conflict shock about them. So it's important to, hey, let them do their thing. It has nothing to do with you or me or us. They're going to do their thing. People are going to get, the people who believe in vaccines are going to get vaccinated. And that's their choice if they want to be injected with that. If it should come to the point where it is mandatory, and I really don't see that, but if it comes to that point, then you know what we do is, it's like, all right, then what I'm going to do is get it out of my system as fast as I can. And I definitely believe there are easy ways to do that. You research what's the crap they're putting in there. And it's like, how do I get that out of my body? And Lee's going to figure that out. I have no doubt.
That's what I was just going to say. Well, that leads right back to.
I'm not worried about this.
No pressure. No pressure there, Lee. No pressure.
All right, thank you.
So I do want to come back to Lee at this point, and then I'd like to open it up for, 5-10 minutes of questions. If, our participants want to ask us any questions. Are you guys up for that?
Sure.
So Lee, how do you feel about that last statement that Andy said, like no pressure if there was mandatory vaccines, or if somebody got a vaccine and or had to because of their profession, what can we do? And you mentioned a good point, and I know, Lee, I have talked to you about this, about the DNA, Andy, and so Lee, talk to us a little bit about, just briefly, about what is in these vaccines and how can we get them out of the system as quickly as possible. And, I kind of agree. I agree with Andy. I would hope that our country wouldn't get to the point of mandatory vaccinations. Yeah. I think there is enough of us that would choose not to get one if and when. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's probably when they start coming out with it. Oh, what I really like too, Andy, in your podcast is you talked about how this is not new, that the coronavirus is not new. In fact, in the 70s.
No, it's been around for 70 years. It was detected in the 30s.
In the 30s.
It's been around for years. I mean, it mutates because all microbes mutate. That's normal. That's natural. That's part of nature.
Yeah.
Fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lee, we're going to put that back on you because you create the most wonderful support products for the human body at New Human. So talk to us about that.
Well, the theory of vaccine is a good theory from a homeopathic standpoint. It makes
Yep.
sense. They used to do the first homeopathics were sniffed. They were, you aspirated it. So the theory is good. It's a way of delivering medicine. So this is a micro nano kind of technology that they're using. There's a lot of reports that it could be even remotely activated and who knows what all else. So the issue at this point is they started a vaccine program back at the Spanish flu, okay? And that was a live vaccine, and that was where a lot of the SARS and Corona signatures made it into the bloodstream. So, it's like Andy says, it's not new. It was actually introduced into our population clear back at the Spanish flu. And they called that a pandemic, and the numbers for Spanish flu weren't any more than a regular flu. So I think there is an agenda. The question is, what can we do? You always take my high-tech answer, which sometimes you can go to the well once too often and there's no water in there. So we have to make sure that we're not going to the well once too often. In other words, if we're not getting our vitamins, we're not getting the minerals. The reason they're called a vitamin is because it's required. We've kind of gotten out of, oh, well, am I taking my vitamins? No. Well, it's not in the food, folks. So this is a situation where if we don't have our vitamins, we don't have our minerals added to our daily diet, if we don't have the healthy fats, we can't defend anything. So it has to come back to these laws of wellness and eating properly just as the basis. Now, we know that in 1917, when they had World War I, flu breakouts went all over the place. Well, why was that? All the natural butters and creams were being exported out of the country, and they were giving us in America margarine. So first things first, let's take care of the body, what it really needs, and a vitamin isn't an option. A mineral isn't an option. So that's the first thing. And then secondarily, when we have a healthy lifestyle, we've got a 90% chance we can recover from that stress. So it's prolonged stress that gets us in trouble. So if we're under prolonged stress and we get a shot, it's different than if we don't have prolonged stress and we aren't eating right, okay? So there's so many natural processes the body already covers if it has what it needs. If it doesn't have what it needs, it can't recover. So it's it's not just a one thing fixes all. Yeah, we'll be able to help the body in lots of different ways, but it all comes back to what's our lifestyle right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, when this all started, that's what I've been saying to my community, to the energetic wellness community, is my message hasn't changed because, right? Because we have to support the body every day, because the body's on this process every day, in the everyday two-phase process, and how we support it, right, is how we're going to have the energy and vitality to recuperate at the end of our day, get good rest and rejuvenate, so that we can have good energy the next day. But Lee, you said that perfectly, because, really why people aren't recovering from healing phases a lot of times is the body doesn't have the energy to repair and renew.
Right. You go back and look at all the lab tests for B vitamins in the blood in the 1950s and see what those levels were. And you look at them now, we are not only deficient, we are dependent. We are dependent on vitamin B. And that's not a good place to be, because recovery on deficiency, that can take as long as 10 years. So we can't heal the nervous system if we don't have B vitamins. We can't have oxygen transport if we don't have healthy fats. If we don't have vitamin A, the immune system suffers. We have to have these vitamins, are not an option.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you say that it could take 10 years if we have deficiencies. Well, we all have deficiencies because, we've been on this, we're products of this generational effect of what has happened that has created such deficiencies. And we are seeing more, I think, healing phases, because don't you think, Andy, I mean, if you look at even Dr. Price's, research, the nervous system, when it wasn't compromised by the way we lived and the foods that we ate, they recovered very quickly, because we know that people in those indigenous cultures had stress, had traumatic experiences.
Right.
But when the nervous system, when we're taking care of ourselves, we can heal better and quicker, because that's the biological design.
Exactly. And you have to look at, Dr. Price's, the cultures were close-knit communities. Right there, we don't have that. We have a divided country. We live in different states that have different belief systems or different, we don't live in that close-knit community. So right there, it sets us up for more conflict shocks, because we don't have everybody thinking the same way. We're all working we live in a small fishing community. We fish every day. And this is our life. We're not like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we are exposed to things that our ancestors were never, ever exposed to, just in the course of our day. And so the most important thing we can do is is to understand, when are we conflict active? When are we upset? Because that is going to decrease, our energy, our vital energy. And, if you had a conflict shock with that, then it's going to start a program. And so you would expect healing phases. So the number one thing you can do is have that awareness of yourself. Are my hands and feet cold? Am I obsessing about something? And that's where you need to change your tactic.
Yes, right. That's when we need to downgrade and find practical ways to help ourselves during that time. Because, like, for instance, we don't per se have a lot of control when this is going to end, but we have to ourselves downgrade our response to the situation and take care of ourselves. And that's what I'm saying about our message hasn't changed. I mean, we have to support the body every day. And I believe that supporting the body in the way we live helps us to have less conflict shocks, right? Less, because we're more even keeled. We're more on, when we have an understanding.
Absolutely. We have that resiliency. Oh, I have an internal understanding that a lot of people don't have, that allows me to stay balanced. That's what we all need.
Yeah.
I want to share, if I can, the Wayne Dyer quote that I put in.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh, that was so perfect.
That was so perfect.
When I was wrapping up the podcast, I said, Wayne Dyer said that everything you are against weakens you. Everything you are for empowers you.
Exactly.
I stay in my GNM bubble, which is so empowering for me. Vaccines, testing, it means nothing to me. I'm not giving it energy, and therefore it is not weakening me. Right. And then I think I said, you are in control of your thoughts and where you focus your attention. And this is your superpower. Don't ever forget that.
Yes.
We have the ability to change our focus, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. And I would like to open it up. I'm going to unmute everyone, or ask you to, let me see how I can do that. used to say where you could ask to unmute all, but I'm not seeing where that is. So I'm just asking each participant to unmute. Okay, did everybody get that? Ask to unmute? Would anybody like to ask a question?
Could you read that quote one more time?
Oh yes, Lori, I hear you.
I would like her to repeat that quote one more time. I was trying to write it down, but I didn't get it exactly
Sure.
at the end.
Absolutely. Wayne Dyer, everything you are against weakens you. Everything you are for empowers you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love that. Love that. Would anybody else like to ask a question? You have 3 of us on here. This is your opportunity. We are here for you. Anything that we talked about, we really desire to help you get out of confusion and fear. That was my intention today with this webinar. So please ask away. Hi, Kathy.
Hey, I couldn't unmute for a minute. I was in in a spot. It's been great. It's been wonderful. Of course, my question is having a, past of health issues and a lung issue. My medical doctor, who sways to the natural for sure, is cautioning me about being with my grandchildren without masks and all of that. And that's a big stress place for me. So let me have it.
You ready?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
Can you get a new doctor? Can I get a new doctor? Actually, as far as medical doctors go, he's pretty darn good. He does vitamin C infusions and has a whole natural pharmacy there that he's as good as it gets around here that I know
Right,
of.
as good as it gets. He's still coming from the germ theory, though. That's
Right.
Yeah. There's nothing you can catch. From your grandchildren, there's nothing you can give to them that they don't already have. There's no concerns there. This is not about a virus. What is happening on the planet right now is not about a virus. It is about the healing phase of being in fear and being isolated.
Yeah.
I think he's probably worried that her grandchildren might give something to her.
Yeah, that's the more of the worry, not me giving it to them.
Right. And again, that's germ theory, and that's a theory that has been, disproven. There's nothing you can give to them or get from them. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't pass these viruses on because they're coming from internal. They're a part of your body's repair process after you've been through a heightened level of stress. And so I understand, Kathy, what you're saying about because of your past. And yes, I would do more for yourself, which I know you're doing a lot in supporting your body. And the best way for you not to have a healing phase is to stay out of the fear of catching something, because we cannot catch the virus.
Okay.
And so, I think that is what has bothered me the most about all that's going on, is that, we're being told to separate from our loved ones and from our friends and to be in isolation. Well, isolation is going to cause us to go into a program because we're humans and we need that connection. We need that. So I would say go love on your grandchildren.
They are
And
going to keep you healthy.
they are going to keep you healthy.
Hug them, hug them, hug them. That is the
Yes.
best way. Yes.
Well, if if we start getting symptoms, me and my specific health issues, if I start getting symptoms, like I've already increased zinc and elderberry and D, increased it a little bit because I was already, doing pretty well on it anyway. But so if you start feeling symptoms, do you suggest just upping those more or just waiting it out, or?
So if you have any kind of symptoms, Kathy, call me, come in, we'll run a scan, we'll support you where you are. If you're not wanting to come in, I can, recommend certain things depending on your symptoms, because we just want to support the body's ability to get through a healing phase. And what I'm recommending to my patients is, of course, that they stay on all of the basic supplements that I recommend. And, I saw you yesterday and you were saying, one thing that this has done right for you is you're not eating out as much,
Right.
and you're eating more organic food. And so you're doing such a great job of supporting yourself. So with those basic supplements, I have told people, take the zinc and the high D and wholesome C, and a couple other things. If you have symptoms, we have some support products that will support those and not stop the healing phase, because the body needs and wants to repair, but we can surely support it. Right, Lee, could you comment on that?
I think that the VitaCare is really good for pre-active and post lung programs, a viral program,
VitaCare.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry, I forgot that one. Zinc, high D, VitaCare. VitaCare, very, very important. Lee, could you just tell us what is in VitaCare that makes it so great for helping the body in an active phase and a repair phase and a post repair
Yeah, I think
phase?
you've heard hydroxyquinoline been thrown around all over the place and how it has been restricted. Nobody can get it. I think President Trump is trying to make it now mandated to be an over-the-counter. And it's about, it's about a $15 product. And it's been proven with vitamin C to eliminate all of the issues of a deep healing. In other words, it provides the body whatever is necessary to support through the healing process. And that is basically made out of quinine, which is a healthy bark they use on trees for malaria. And so it's been well tested. And so the quinine, which is actually in the VitaCare, is the same component.
Oh, okay, good. Because all the study I had done, I had seen that the hydrochloroquine was natural, basically, in its component, and it would be a good thing. My doctor told me, though, you have to have a positive test before he'll give it, because he's folded under, they're going to shut him down if he gives it otherwise,
Yeah, and that's, and that's because prescription medicines have a mode of action and a clearance for use. It's cleared for malaria, but it's not cleared for a novel virus, as you see. So he would be handing it to you off label, and that's at risk for him.
Sure. Well, I'll come right in and get VitaCare then.
Yes, and we are having an open house today, so everything in the store is 10% off.
All right, then I'll get 2 bottles.
Good.
VitaCare is what has
natural quinine in it.
quinine in it.
Yeah, that's what hydrochloroquine is probably a synthetic of that, right?
Maybe I should get a bottle of that to have on hand.
Mary, did you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had unmuted and forgot. I brought my husband in here. And I wanted him to listen about the VitaCare.
Yes, yes. Lee, can you just repeat that again as far as the components of the VitaCare?
Basically quinine, and it's a healthy, natural approach. The prescription, I'm not sure what they're using, but it was held back worldwide. And rumor had it that Bill Gates bought all of it up and shipped it to Ethiopia or something.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Plaquenil. It's Plaquenil.
yeah. So, but the natural herb is available. We have it in the VitaCare. It's known as Chincona. Has other names, but it's
Chincona
a
is what
really
it's.
powerful. It's a powerful alkaloid. It's a natural healing alkaloid. And it takes the acid responses out of the cell. It helps the cell clean and clear quickly.
Awesome.
Okay, thank you very much for the added information.
You're welcome, Mary. We'll give it another 2 minutes. Does anybody have another question?
I guess I would just ask, so overall, how you all look at it is if somebody, well, you don't see the virus as an illness, but as healing from something. So the people that are not able to recover from that healing and end up dying from it, which there are many, would you say it's because their body wasn't supported? But I know you see it as you don't catch it. You can't catch it from anybody. You just get it if you're fearful or your body is run down and not supported. So all the people who do die, because there are people who die from it, is it just because they're either too fearful or they're not eating right or they're too stressed? Because a lot of people do have the underlying health conditions. Most people do. But there are people out there who supposedly are very healthy who get it and either die, or maybe they don't die, but they have lingering problems later. And I think that is what gives some people fear, because yes, you're right, most people don't die from it, but some people have lingering effects and they're concerned about that.
If I can address that, Lori, one reason they're having lingering effects is because they took pharmaceuticals that stopped the healing phase. As soon as you take a pharmaceutical, it will stop what your body is trying to do and it will simply linger, unfortunately. Now, there are times it's important to do that. If you need to do that to save your life, go for it. But realize that's what you're doing. And then you have to support the body to make it through that last bit of the healing phase once you're out of fear. But you're right that most people, the people who have died, and it's been a very small percentage of the population on this planet that has passed, most of them had comorbidities. So they were over 75 and they had other issues going on as well. So their bodies are weaker. We know that anybody whose body is older is going to be weaker. It's not going to be robust like somebody in their 20s or 30s. And the people that are younger that have passed, and there's been it's an infinitesimal amount, have had a lot of fear. And also whatever was done to them stopped their healing phase so much that their body couldn't cope with that.
Yeah, and I think what is contagious is the fear. If you were imagining you were in an airplane and you heard somebody coughing in the very front, you go, OMG, they've got this terrible illness, is going to travel through, that fear is going to travel through the airplane.
Right.
You know, there are now governors that are being sued now and investigated for people who had the active symptoms. They weren't being sent to the hospital. They were being pushed into nursing homes. And so a significant number of the people who were in active phase and sick were going to nursing homes with the intent that it was going to scare all those people. Now that's coming out in legislation and legal investigations now. So it's the fear that travels.
Okay.
Exactly. And, you know, Lori, all of the things, you know, even myself, I have been living a natural lifestyle for probably over 30 years now. And, you know, well, we have to understand our foundation of who we are and maybe the things that we have gone through in the past, and know our triggers, you know, and support ourselves and try to help us, you know, gain a new perspective on situations, because it's that perspective and that causes us to go into, right, that heightened level of whatever is, whether it's fear, whether it's isolation, whether we're separated from our family, because those are those survival mechanisms that happen, that start activity on a particular organ or gland or tissue to help us survive those thoughts, that situation. But everything is biological, and everything was designed to help us, not harm us. And I think that mindset of the germ theory has just been, we've all been conditioned to believe it. And that's why this situation, and Andy said that in the beginning, you know, you have two schools of thought here. Well, we're bringing really the third school of thought that is really what we believe, the biological design of the body to heal itself, because you have the allopathic medicine that's caught up in the germ theory. Viruses are bad, bacteria is bad, cancer is bad. And then you have the natural side that really feels that way as well, and believes that, you know, natural things are going to kill that. And what we're saying is the body was designed with these microbes, trillions of them that live inside of us, and they all have a purpose and a design to support us through life. Okay, I'd like to end with that. What do you guys think?
Sounds
Good.
great. Woo!
Yay, yay. This has been recorded. I'm so grateful. Andy, thank you so much, honey, for joining us. I appreciate your time. And don't forget, Andy has a wonderful website. She is an expert in German new medicine, I believe. She's a teacher, and her website is andylockmears.com. You can listen to her podcast on German new medicine. I think it would be great for all of you at this time to really start letting that sink in and letting it resonate with you. Dr. Lee Woolley, thank you, Lee, for joining us. Thank you for leading us in Bionetics. Your technology is amazing. The SpectraVision gives me an opportunity to really help people at a whole new level of understanding the body and your products. Thank you for formulating them. Thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for your time. Thank you for all of you taking time out of your day. We went a little bit over, but I love all of you. We are here for you at Energetic Wellness, to support you, to support your body, to support your life. But remember, I am not the healer. Your body is your own healer. Love you. God bless you. Have a great weekend. And don't forget, come into the store today and tomorrow. We're having an open house. We're doing free foot baths, free D-lights, free saunas. In fact, my girls are so busy out there, I can hear the amount of people that are out there. And 10% off in the store today. So today and tomorrow. So love all of you. Thank you. Mwah. God bless.
Thank you all for your time. It was wonderful.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, you're welcome. You
Bye.
are welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.